You might have noticed in the writers' room videos that Alison McBain and I frequently disagree. When it comes to AI, for instance, she is a skeptic. If you watch that video, it is clear. Allison is very skeptical of artificial intelligence. I, on the other hand, view large language models kind of as extremely advanced versions of statistical software like SPSS or SAS. I admit I could be wrong about that. I'm not an AI expert, but it just seems to me that what they're doing is they're taking a whole lot of data and they're just predicting from word to word what word will come next. And they're able to do it really fast in such a way that it looks like they're talking to us. So we're a writing group. The writers room is an actual writing group. We've been meeting for a while. And so I submitted something yesterday to the writers group and it was critiqued by the group, which included Allison, Brian, and a new member, Steve. And Allison, as she says all the time, had some comments. So I should go ahead and say here that Allison is a professional editor. She's really good. I'm not casting any shade on her skills. She is definitely a very good editor. If you need editing help, she's definitely a good person to look up. But as I said, Allison and I don't always agree. And there are definitely times when it comes to my work that we disagree. But in this particular instance, I listened to her, processed the information. Anybody in a writing group knows that you're supposed to shut up and let the person talk. I did that. I did that. I shut up and I listened. This happened to be related to a character that I was thinking about making a point of view character. Now, that's one of the things I think would be a valuable thing to go into here, which is it isn't always the case that a character you like should be a point of view character. That's another thing I'll admit here. I mean, that's something I already knew actually before this disagreement that we had. I was kind of experimenting with making this character a point of view character because he's actually related to something that's very important to the story. So Allison's feedback basically amounted to this should not be a point of view character. You know, this character is fine. In the story, definitely important to the story, but he doesn't really add anything, especially to a story that has a lot of characters. And she's also right about that. Emperor so far has a lot of characters because there's a lot going on. But this is a novel that's going to be probably about 150 pages. I'm sorry, 150,000 words. So it's not a short novel. It's a long novel with a lot going on. And the characters that I have now or there serve the purpose of giving you the different perspectives that are necessary to tell a story with as many different dimensions as Emperor has. So again, feedback's always great. But I was actually kind of getting into this character, and I'm still into this character, even though you'll see when I get to the point of this video. So that was the gist of her feedback, is that I don't think this character should be a point of view character. So I listened, as I said, and the thing is, that kind of surprised me. I wasn't quite sure, but then Brian agreed with her. So I was like, So basically I let it sit, thought about it for the rest of the evening, woke up this morning, and I was like, shit, Alison is right. And there are a couple of reasons that she's right in this particular instance, because like I said, I already knew that all characters are not suited to being point of view characters. Sometimes they just need to be secondary, tertiary characters. They're funny. They can be kind of a comic relief. But if their personal story doesn't add anything to the overall novel, then you actually wind up creating these, I don't know, I could think of them as either dead spots, dead zones. They're sort of lulls in the narrative, and you can lose people every time you kind of force them to look at the world from what may not even really feel like a particular person's point of view. That was one of the first things I had to come to accept about why she was right, because the scene opens with the character telling the driver not to wait on him because he didn't know how long this meeting, the character's name is Morty, by the way. So it's so open with Morty telling the driver not to wait on him. And I go into all this stuff about how, he didn't know how long this meeting was going to last. Normally he does these maintenance lunches. He's working for a boutique financial firm, or finance firm, money management firm. And because of things that are happening in the world in the year 2028, the clients are sort of going a little crazy about their money. So instead of the chumminess that he's used to, he's basically having to explain and ask questions and explain. And the thing that I had to admit this morning when I woke up is that that's not really a compelling personal challenge. And then on top of that, it doesn't even last a long time. Like, it only lasts for about 2 or 3 sentences. And then I switch to this like revelation to Morty and to the reader with regard to a character that you're really just seeing from their point of view right now, finding out that he's gonna move to DC. And then I looked at the outline, which in my last video I talked a little bit about, that I've been working on. And actually Morty shows up in scenes from Philip's point of view. He's going to show up in a scene from Jazeera's point of view. But at this point, this is the only scene that I had set up so far that was from Morty's point of view. So it was kind of extra without any real purpose. So I had to admit, once again, Alison was right. This, by the way, is another part of Untermeyer Gardens that I did not go through yesterday. I hadn't been over here in a while. It feels to me like they've added stuff, but it's possible that people who are familiar with the gardens, they might know that that's not actually true. The other thing is it's 78 degrees here in New York for the first time probably in like a year. So got to get used to it again. This, by the way, is the Old Croton Trail. I know that it starts as And I also know that it goes as far north as Dobbs Ferry. I don't know how far north it goes beyond that, though. This gets pretty crowded during the summer. And if the weather's not too bad, I take this path even during the winter. During that time, though, the only thing that I might run into is a deer. Getting back to the significance of this little foray that I took into creating another point of view character, it actually wasn't a waste of time. First off, I only spent about 2 or 3 days on it. And during that time, what it gave me an opportunity to do, because like I said, I'm not going to add Morty as a point of view character, but I will add him. I mean, he's always been a secondary character, a character that the reader interacts with or get experiences through other characters' points of view. And when it comes to that, what kind of exploring the experimenting with Morty as a point of view character, what it did is it sort of gave me another way of thinking about his significance in the story, uh, what the overall story arc is, and how the characters that interact with him, maybe not necessarily at the same time, but the characters that interact with him, how they fit together. And so that was definitely useful. So just like any other art, um, writing is an iterative process. Some experimentation is definitely necessary. It was just sort of part of this amusing competition. I don't know if I should use the word competition thing where Alice and I almost invariably disagree about things. And like I said, sometimes I disagree when it comes to my work, although I always appreciate a feedback. I always do. It's always helpful. But in this particular instance, Allison was right.